Okay, dearly departed teams again. And I haven't spoken to this guy since he was getting the jitters. Amazingly, getting the jitters, despite his team were by far the best team in that league before promotion. Welcome back, Joe. We're going to talk some Leeds. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, really, really good. Really grateful that you asked me. To be honest, mate, you are the champion, the championship, the football league content creator. I've seen you smashing it from afar. So congratulations, mate. You're killing it.
Oh, bless you. That's very, very kind. I wouldn't have half my numbers if it wasn't for Leeds fans all buying in a couple of years ago. They were amazing in the Championship, and they were amazing in the Premier League last season. Top half finish, kept that momentum going through. Same style of play, pretty much the same players with some clever additions. They didn't go for lots of throw a lot of stuff at it. It was a few players kind of just dripped in. And then we go into the much heralded second season, of course, but not just the second season, the third year of the cycle as well into season 4 under Bielsa, which is always a tough one to kind of navigate. A bit of a slow start, but the first win and a more Leeds-like performance against Watford. How have you sort of interpreted this first 7 games? And there has been a slowdown, hasn't there, if we're completely honest? So what do you attribute the slowdown to?
To be honest, I wish I could give you like a straight answer. I think there is something in the 4th season, as it were, under Bielsa. I think there's a lot of players, and I will mention them. I look to the likes of Luke Ayling, Stuart Dallas, Matthias Click, they're not getting any younger and have worked under this rigid regime now for 4 seasons, and maybe there is maybe this is that Bielsa burnout that we've heard for season after season, is that some of these players, because let's be honest, Benjamin, this will be tough for 1 season, let alone 4, going into a 4th season. I think that does play a part. I think as well, the summer wasn't as great as a lot of us would have expected. We were crying out for a centre midfielder. We didn't get a centre midfielder, so it means we're still relying on Click and Dallas to do the business week in, week out. So that, again, is another part. And I would also say as well, although I don't believe that teams have found us out, that's what keeps getting thrown at us. Obviously, managers are a little bit wiser to what Bielsa can bring. We've seen this season, and I look on with envy at the glowing reception that Brentford are getting. I'm like, oh, we had that last year.
That was you. That was you last season.
Yeah, exactly. And now
and Sheffield United the season before. Yeah,
exactly, mate. And then we're I'm so grateful for the win, because we were getting that second season syndrome. They're doing a Sheffield United, which I'm not concerned about. Never was. I know it's easy to say that now we've got a win on the board, but my barometer was the 10th game. Like I said, let's wait until we've got 10 games in, because after Watford, we've now got Southampton, Wolves and Norwich, and they're, for me, a very winnable game. So we had a pretty tough start. So yeah, I've given you a load of reasons.
No, it's great.
I don't think there's just one, I think there's a multitude of them.
So if people like yourself and Gary Neville are right that it's hard to go over 4 seasons with the same team, which members of Bielsa Team 1 are also going to be the kind of cornerstones of Bielsa Team 2 at least? Because, like that you said, Luke Ayling and Stuart Dallas and Click, they've been amazing. They've gone over and above what everybody thought they would. But you mentioned Sheffield United, and you don't see Basham playing too much for Sheffield United anymore. Norwood is now not the favourite there anymore. The goalkeeper's different. Do you know what I mean? They're now moving on. Which of these Leeds players really is the the kind of nucleus is the word I'm looking for of the next team, do you think?
Well, I would hope Calvin Phillips, of course.
Phillips, Rafinha, Bamford. There you go.
Yeah, Phillips, Rafinha, Bamford. I think Jamie Shackleton was starting to see.
Him, yeah.
I know he's a midfielder, but Bielsa sees him as a right back. I think Luke Ayling will have a job on getting back in the side. So that's good as well, because that breeds competition. So I would say definitely Jamie Shackleton. Obviously, Junior Firpo's getting better week in, week out as well. He's taken a while to adjust. And then you've got like Harrison. Harrison just doesn't look like he'll ever win. Like he's just continues to progress, although not had a great start to the season. But he's now got competition with Dan James as well. I think Dan James is like a Duracell bunny. He's a bit like Alioski. He just doesn't stop for the full 90 minutes. But again, with that, Ben, will we keep hold of Rafinha? Will Calvin be here?
Phillips, yeah.
I think he'll be here next season. It's the season after that I think we're at real risk of losing Calvin. So it's hard to put. What I will say, young players coming through, Charlie Creswell, huge, Joe Geldart, Cody Drama. There's a number ready to make that step up.
And they're already sort of integrated in the ways of that training complex and what's kind of going on there. So even though it's been a slow start, who have you sort of particularly enjoyed watching for Leeds this season?
Rafinha's an obvious. He's pivotal to everything that we do. And he scores some lovely goals. He loves to score against Everton. He scored a good goal against Newcastle. I think Rodrigo had a big part to play in that when he sort of like dummied and it went past him. But Rafinha's huge, obviously. The return of Diego Llorente at the weekend as well. That guy is a Rolls Royce of a centre-back. I know it's only one performance, but we don't get many out of him over a season. But just seeing him come into the side and within 5 minutes, he's played 2 killer passes into midfield. And he's that type of defender that Bielsa loves, that can play a pass out and break the lines and get Leeds on the attack. So really enjoy watching Diego Llorente, Rafinha, Calvin. Of course, we haven't seen much of Bamford. He's been injured. So Charlie Creswell as well, when he made his debut against Fulham in the Cup, he was phenomenal. And of course, in the league against Antonio, he was exceptional there as well. So it's and even although he's not made an appearance in the first team yet, Joe Geldart, who's been ripping it up for the under-23s, he's just been promoted to the England under-21s. So they've took him with their side. So he's going to be knocking on the door and he's going to be some player. You'll remember him, right, from his time at Wigan.
He scored in the Championship. I think he scored at Hull, didn't he? He sort of came in and look, I've got a few really nerdy friends that know every England player going up through the age groups, and I'd heard about Gerhardt, and I tell you what, that England 21s has been a high standard for quite a few. Hopefully, as an England fan, we'll get the benefits of it definitely in the next few years. But that's been a high standard there. Without digging anyone out, Joe. Who do you think you could get a bit more out of that you haven't maybe seen the best of so far this season?
Yeah, I'd like to have seen more from Rodrigo. Obviously, still our highest transfer fee paid for a player. And I was hoping that his first season under Bielsa, he had COVID. He then got he had the long COVID. It was his first season. All these sort of instances, and you were hoping, right? He didn't go away with Spain. He didn't go away with Spain in the end, so he's had a full pre-season under Bielsa. You want him to be hitting the ground running, and that's what I was expecting. Now, admittedly, Bielsa's been playing him out of position slightly. He plays him as a high 8 in that midfield, but for the last couple of games, Bamford's been out and he's been playing up top. We have seen improvements in terms of performance, but I want more goals from Rodrigo, from a guy that we paid quite a lot of money for. And I would mention as well, that I mentioned earlier on, Luke Ayling, Stuart Dallas, we're not seeing the same level of performance that we're used to. You know, Dallas got player of the season last season, for example. You know, first player in
what a player, hey?
Yeah, first player since in 3, like, because Pablo Hernandez won it 3 years on the trot, and then he was and then obviously he left. Oh well, he was still there, but a bit part player, didn't play much, and then Dallas won it, and rightly so. But there are limitations to Dallas's game, and we're seeing that, I think, now. And Luke Ayling, like I say, for me, he's been a stalwart of the Bielsa tenure, but we've just seen a little bit of a drop off in terms of level that we're used to, you know.
No, it's perfectly reasonable. They've set the bar very, very high, haven't they? Yeah. Now, I've been asking everybody, Joe, the same question. If we sat down at Christmas, do you expect your club to be higher or lower? Now, obviously, there's been a big drop off from 9th place to 7 places of headroom from where you can sort of reasonably expect to be. I suppose the big worry, and I know the fixtures do open out now for Leeds, is if you do go low, you're only 1 place above relegation. So you would, I'm trying to answer the question for you here, but you would expect the trend to be upwards towards Christmas, wouldn't you?
Yeah, 100%. When I seen that question, I was thinking, for sure. We've got some favourable fixtures coming up, and I'm expecting at least 6. And then we just start to move then, we start to move up the table. And I think, I was never concerned. People might say, you're getting a bit above your station. You've only beat Watford. But, I've seen enough from the performance against West Ham, the performance at Watford. We just, to be honest, Watford couldn't have complained had they have been beaten 4 or 5. It literally was that much of a domination in terms of, I think they had 5 shots to our 21. And it's almost, Benjamin, we're seeing shades of Bielsa's first season in the Championship, where we're creating loads of chances.
The results don't match the numbers, do they?
Yeah. We're not actually converting it, which is getting a little bit frustrating, because first season back in the Prem, almost everything Bamford touched hit the back of the net.
And that second half of the season as well, it was proper sort of top 6 form, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, it was insane. Yeah, but I do expect us to be higher up for sure.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some concern if you're not, especially if you've gone one lower. But normally with that question, I was talking to someone earlier today. You kind of fixate on the team that we're talking about, rightly so. But you're kind of like, well, who's keeping you down, if you know what I mean? And that's probably the more pertinent thing, is that there's going to be plenty worse teams, aren't there, going forward? So can you give? I know obviously the standard has been. I mean, you've basically been winning for 3 years, haven't you? Yeah. The standard's very high, but can you give a grade? With that being said, to probably the slowest couple of months under Bielsa you've had. Can you give a grade for the start of the season, a letter grade?
What we saying between A, B, and C, or what's
we said? I've been saying to everyone, you're not going to need an F, obviously, but we've spent A to E, an old school GCSE, grade. What do you think?
If I'm honest, I did have high expectations that were then tempered by the window that we had. Has been a tough start, but then we've also played Burnley and Newcastle, although we haven't lost them games. I'm going to say for the time being D. Now that might seem, it's just where we are in the table currently, and only having 1 win on the board, beating Watford. But we have, a lot of people were saying, but we played Man United, we've played Liverpool, but we've also played Burnley and Newcastle, which both of them teams, we scored 5 against Burnley in one game. We scored 5 against Newcastle in one of the fixtures last season. So, to then go and draw 1 apiece and 0-0, it's not the great. So I'm going to go with a D, not an E, because we've got a win. So D.
Yeah, and it's a well-worn cliche, but it's, if that game was last season, you would have won it. Do you know what I mean? That's where you're kind of with the logic. Brilliant stuff, Joe. Great to kind of check back in with you, buddy. Now you're up in the big leagues. Can you give a little plug for your Twitter and your YouTube for us?
Please follow me on the Just Joe Football Show. Heavily Leeds United based, but I do the odd watch along of the big Champions League games, the Premier League games. If I'm stuck for something to do, I'm watching football anyway, so I'll just jump on a stream. Twitter is @WaymanJoe. Not loads going down on there, just daft opinions from myself. But yeah, make sure you head on over, please.
Unbelievable stuff, Joe. And yeah, I've got a bit of a soft spot for Leeds now after the last couple of seasons. So I would assume that the rhythm will pick up a little bit now, and they'll grow into the season. I'd be very surprised if they didn't. Joe, thank you for your time, and keep up the good work, fella.
Thank you, mate.